October 18th meeting of the New York State Bridge Authority. My name is Francis Vaselio. I'm joined at the table by Commissioner Vane Lashua, Deputy Executive Director Tara Sullivan, Commissioner Roger Higgins, Vice Chairman Richard Gerantine. I actually said it without having to correct myself.
There you go. You're learning.
Commissioner, our counsel, Give Whitbeck, and our Executive Director, Joe Ruggiero. The first item on our agenda is to adopt the minutes from the regular board meeting of September 20th. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I think we're going straight to engineering according to my agenda here. So, Mr. Moreau.
Good afternoon, everyone.
How are you, Bill?
Good. We were getting a little nervous with the rain the last few weeks, but this week has been better. So our first item is a bid opening we had for some issues we had here at Mid-Hudson and some steel repairs also at Newburgh. Our estimate was $1 million, and Yoseki Steel was the low bidder at $939,000. And we had three bids, quite a range. Glad Dick Piasecki came back.
Slutsky must not have wanted this job.
Maybe exhausted him.
Yeah, he's definitely stretched out to the limit it would look.
Were these repairs that were part of your planned maintenance, or did these just crop up as needing some more urgent attention?
The steel work at Newburgh cropped up late last year, and we followed through with inspections, detailed interior inspections this year, and then developed the steel repairs this summer. The Mid-Hudson just came up this year with its inspection. The engineers found some cracks in the strut below the roadway at the tower. We quickly determined the problem was a corroded and frozen wind assembly that's supposed to move that wasn't moving. So it's a time-sensitive repair, so we rushed out the design, and now we're...
Is there a motion on the resolution to award the bid to Piasecki Steel? All in favor?
Thank you. Our general consultant, Majeski & Masters, did the inspection, uncovered the problem at Mid-Hudson, and performed the design for the bid documents we just awarded. There's a line item within their contract for this type of work, so we're not asking for any additional money or a resolution, but protocol has determined that we should advise you of any of these additional assignments that we give them under that contract. Next up is our fiber maintenance contract. This opportunity was advertised. We only got 3 bids returned. This is to splice the actual fiber optic conduit, or fiber optic cable, should it be cut.
This is an on-call type of contract.
Right. So we really didn't have a lot of confidence in G4, formerly Adesta, based on our experience with them over the last 20 years. So an emergency service contract just runs contrary to our experience with them. Millennium Communications didn't provide a complete proposal. They didn't answer a lot of the questions on experience, background, and similar natured work. Shups, on the other hand, has done work for us, I think, every year for the last 3 years on various camera and fiber optic related projects. They're a WMD, and they've done excellent work for us. I'd like to recommend Shups as our on-call.
Is this the fiber for our own internal use, or the fiber line that we were going to lease out space on?
Both. Just in case there's a cut in the line, especially with the dark fiber contracts, since we're leasing to a telecommunications company, they want to know what our responsive preparedness is in the event there's a data cyber.
Or an accident.
How quickly do they respond, Bill?
Well, they have like I think a 4-hour show up, and then I'm not sure we gave them a limit on how fast they got to fix it, depending on how many splices they got to make. But they are right here in the valley, and so we're confident they could meet that.
Okay, is there a motion on the resolution to award the contract for emergency response to Shups Line Construction? Is there a second? All in favor?
And no monies would be paid out unless they were actually called in, so there's no return or anything like that.
Thanks. Next up is some utility enhancement work at Newburgh. As part of the deck replacement project, we always intended to replace the electrical wiring on the bridge from abutment to abutment. With our current fiber optic lease to AT&T is expiring next week, something pretty soon. November 1st. So we looked at how we would best accommodate that through the deck replacement work and in the future, and it would seem that the best option would be to reorganize that fiber optic line so that we can separate it out and lease it in components, and not just hand the keys to AT&T and let them subcontract with everybody, because it doesn't look like they're doing the Bridge Authority any favors with the current arrangement. So what we'd like to do is now extend the scope of the electrical work on the bridge, since we need to run some new conduits, and we'll be able to isolate each bridge and various circuits on each bridge at a higher level. Right now, if we have a problem, we lose 30% of our electrical system. There's only 3 circuits on each bridge. So we could lose all of our traffic control equipment because of a street light short, or we could lose all of our street lights because of a problem with the variable message sign. So we'd like to reorganize as the way the power comes through from the main meter out to the 2 bridges, put in a electrical building to handle the switchgear, and it'll serve as a co-location room for fiber as well. But we'd like to do all this work in advance of the deck, because the deck guy will be there for 3 years and it'll be hard to accomplish everything at the same time. So to meet our needs for the leasees as the current lease expires, to be ready for them and to be out of the way of the deck project, we'd like to continue working with our team that has done the last 2 port security grant projects, which is a lot of fiber optic work involved with that, as well as electrical work. So it's the same nature of work. TransDigm could do the design, Shups and Stilsing could do the actual installation of the new dark fiber line on the bridge. And the authority's in-house crew would work on the new switchgear room, so that everything would be in place as the deck replacement contractor gets there to complete the rewiring of the facility. So we've asked for a cost proposal from the group, and I guess it's on the last page there. $254,000 would include 8,000-foot run of fiber optic conduit and some work at each abutment for the fiber terminations, as well as the conduit for the electrical power on both ends of the bridge.
I'll note, according to this memo, that there's a significant WBE subcontracting piece to this too, to help us achieve our goals. So, on the resolution, is there a motion?
Just
Sure.
Is that on the north side of the south span, the enclosures, where do they?
Pretty much over the catwalk on the south span is where the
Oh, so they'll be out of,
fiber optic cable runs.
I see. Yeah.
Somewhat
Kind
accessible.
of under the deck.
Right, and then there'll be a building in between the 2 abutments on the beacon side.
On the motion for the contract to TransDigm, is there a motion?
So moved.
Second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Moving down to Bear Mountain, we've done a couple of bridge upgrades to the UPS system as we've been adding new equipment, larger equipment to the toll plaza and the automated toll collection system upgrades. As we got to Bear Mountain, we realized that we're still working off a mid-1940s vintage electrical panel as the power comes in.
Big tubes?
Just the screw-in fuses. So our electrical contractor, who we had selected based on hourly rates, and who had done the other 2 bridge UPS upgrades, looked at the whole project and said, well, you need a new panel and a few more things. So we've got the breakdown there: $2,700 for the panel, $13,000 for the new feeder, and $8,000 for the upgrade to the UPS. If you add all these bits and pieces together, it's about $25,000 worth of work, something we would normally advertise for public participation. But since it's very sensitive to our security and electrical system, we weren't that comfortable advertising this project, for public bid. It's really right on the edge anyway of the threshold. So we talked to Carl about, does this fit under the Homeland Security procurement program that we talked about a month or two ago. And Carl agreed that this would fit into that sensitive work. So we'd like to award this work to Parika Electric and have them complete all the work we need at Bear Mountain to get us up to speed with our UPS system.
Is there a motion on that resolution? Second? All in favor?
Aye. Thank you. Unfortunately, we had one more thing crop up. It's almost winter, and in talking with OGS, they don't have their winter salt contract in place, and they don't expect to have it. Last year, they didn't have one in place at all throughout the year, so we use a treated rock salt. It's not just plain old salt. Various names, Ice Be Gone, Magic Salt, a couple of different proprietary products, but we found that it really works well, especially in a windy storm. It tends to stick better. So Craig went out and talked to everybody that makes this enhanced salt. On the back of the first page, maybe you could see the chart. International Salt with a product called Ice Be Gone was the low-cost proposer. American Rock gave us a price. The other two declined. We gave you last year's, or 2010's OGS contract since there wasn't one in place last year. So they're giving us pretty competitive cost, and we'd like to just do business directly with the suppliers instead of waiting for OGS. But we thought we would buy just a portion of what we need for now, and if OGS contract comes in place, we'll look at that midwinter. But the procurement we're asking for today would fill all of our salt sheds for the start of the season and get us well into January before we might need some more salt. So this is kind of an interim purchase. If you add up all four purchase orders, since the low bidder was the same guy for all four facilities, it does add up to $44,000, so that's why we're here. We were thinking originally we'd just be issuing 4 purchase orders, but since it's all the same vendor, we thought we should bring it to you for a resolution.
So these prices are actually down from
Yeah.
2010.
Yeah, amazingly, most of the cost for this stuff is hauling it around. That's why we get different prices per bridge, because it's mileage charge. So with the price of gas, I don't know why it went there. I guess last year there was a
Maybe there's a
winter,
surplus of them,
and- right.
and people sitting on a lot of salt.
a lot of stockpile,
And even after we raised the tolls.
right?
Wow.
So it looks like a good deal.
Is there a motion for the resolution for international salt?
So moved.
Second? All in favor?
And then finally, our jobs in progress, we did finish the overlay removal and replacement work at Newburgh last night. That's been ongoing all year, so that was a sigh of relief. Mid-Hudson's overlay's been completed for a couple of weeks now. So the only remaining item on that project is to do the striping at Newburgh, and we're also striping the toll plaza.
Bill, where were they getting the blacktop from?
Goshen.
Ocean?
Argenio out of Newburgh sold his plant, so he was buying it from.
Where are we? The paint job was completed?
No, the paint job, it's a 3-year job. They're pretty close to getting to a third of
Phase 3.
well, we did 2 years on the first kind of half of the bridge. It was a little less than half. And then this is a 3-year contract to do the other 60% of the bridge. So, but yeah, they've been making good progress. And, we had an inspection from our DEC friends not too long ago. We passed all their critiques, and so we got through the neighborhood, which is the more, community sensitive stands that were close to the, so now we're out over the water and should have less of an issue with sound or anything else, maybe. So far so good.
So we have a resolution on the jobs in progress. Is there a motion?
Moved.
Second. All in favor?
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Moreau. Mr. Bushek.
First up is the investment report. In the month of September, we had 4 investments, routine debt service, 2 of the maintenance reserve, and 1 for the construction fund. The results of those investments are reflected in the investment inventory report. I apologize, one mistake from the investments this month. The $474,000 Treasury bill is reflected as maturing on the 11th when it should have been maturing on the 18th. It's been fixed in a formal copy. Other than that, we have 1.7 in the operating fund and 1.3 in the revenue fund. Interest income and yield are slightly lower at 0.37, but fairly steady.
Motion on the investment report? All in favor?
Okay, next up, as per our workers' comp insurance policy, which renews on October 21st, we went out to the New York State Insurance Fund. They again provided us the 35% upfront discount, which is the highest discount currently available at State Insurance Fund. Based upon the 2010-2011 audit of salaries and premiums, the premiums rose from $263 to $304, an increase of $41,000 or 16%, not including a brokerage fee, which went up this year as well. The increase was primarily the result of a deterioration in the authority's experience modification. The experience modification previously was a 0.91, which resulted in a 9% credit, whereas unfortunately with our rising claims, it's now up at 1.06, okay, which provides a bit of a charge. The safety committee has gone and met, and actions are being formulated to try to address this increase in workers' comp injuries.
So I think I read through your memo that we used to get a credit for our experience modification rate, and now it's actually a surcharge.
If you were to look at page 5 of the broker's quote that they provided, about 2/3 of the way down, you'll see the row that says experience modification. It says 2011 rate was a 0.91, which resulted in a roughly $39,000 reduction of our premium, whereas now that we're at a 1.06, basically it's a $25,000 charge, which creates a fairly significant, $63,000 swing.
And is there a common issue that's leading to the increased claims?
That's what we asked, Tara's chairing our safety committee, and we're going to get into looking at all the areas where it seems 2 of the 5 bridges seem to have the most incidents, and we're going to start looking into whether it be a training issue or just folks not paying attention to what the safety procedures are. Just can't imagine everyone caught. It's contagious to be this klutzy, but things are happening.
And we also found an indication of an aging workforce, which is national, not just authority-wide. So we're working on, more training and accountability.
We have some safety matrices.
Right.
Is there a motion on the, or it's an extension, right? We already have a contract with them, or it's a new contract?
Basically, it's the renewal for the year.
The renewal.
Okay. We
With
normally
the New York
don't.
State Insurance Fund through the broker.
That's fine. I'm sorry. Quickly, most brokers decline because of the 35% discount. So
And then also because they don't like insuring people who work up on bridges.
that's also the case.
It's a circus act.
Flying one.
So, do we have a motion? Second? All in favor? All in favor?
Aye. A nice segue into the accident report, isn't it?
Did any of these result in workers' comp?
No, workers' comp would be separate. These are obviously the first section of this. The 43 accidents were a result of all accidents, which includes patrons. There were 43 accidents in the third quarter of 2012. This compares with 60 the previous year. During this year, there were 5 accidents involving authority personnel. There were no injuries, fortunately, and then this compares to 6 the previous year. I won't go into the details. This report is purely for information purposes for the board. No action is required. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Where are we going to now? Operations?
Yes.
You
Afternoon.
have the floor.
Okay, just one item. 2 years ago, we awarded a contract to Traffic Technologies for Plaza and Central computer support. This would be the third year of that contract. We'd like to renew it for a year. However, we ended our relationship with Trimmy. They had a contract to support our in-lane toll computers. So we'd like to add 80 hours to the TTI contract for the coming year, so that they would support the Plaza Central and in-lane toll computers. And the total is correct on the resolution. It's a not to exceed 31,680. The letter's got a little typo there.
And this is an as-needed issue?
Well, it's a retainer.
Oh, it's a retainer?
It's a retainer.
And that retainer covers a certain number of hours?
Right, and then what happens is we get later in the year, the unused balance of the retainer, then we make a judgment call whether we want to then get our money's worth, if you will, and assign them non-emergency projects. Even with some of the work you've authorized and given TTI the contract to finish out Night Watch, they did use some of the retainer that they already had with us this year towards that project. So they've been working with us. We're asking more of them, and again, this is about response time and what they need to gear up to guarantee it.
Okay. So we have a resolution to award the contract to TPI. Is there a motion, or a motion on the resolution? Second? All in favor?
Aye. Thank you.
Executive Director's report. He has not been expending any big bucks on our behalf.
In the traffic classification report, and you will see that we're beginning to see some decline in traffic, even though the revenues are still holding what our targets are for the year. We're beginning to see the impact of I would think, the high price of gas on our facilities. So it's been reflected throughout the reports.
You folks hinted that this might be coming last month when we were looking at our...
And it's not just us, all the other agencies are seeing the same impact.
It's interesting that the RIP went the other direction. Too bad the RIP's a small generator.
But they're reliable.
Okay. So old business, the Night Watch issue is back again.
Okay. There's two signed.
You got the memo that Brian had put in the packet telling you this would be coming
Thank you.
at the desk. We've been working with them, trying to get an assessment of what it would take to close out. They made tremendous progress for us since the last meeting. We actually did Brian could talk about it, a sandbox test this afternoon. Applicants come up with and now this is what we anticipate we're going to need to finish the project. And then we could bring this thing live for real.
Effectively, we have two areas in the application that we still require additional consulting support to go and complete issues that we have with the application as provided. TTI has proposed $30,000 and approximately 6 weeks to resolve those issues. One, we were able to do what we were calling sandbox or test, non-production testing of the equipment today, and it turned out successful with no further issues identified. With the existing issues that we have identified, this is the cost to resolve them.
Okay, and you're anticipating that in the next month or two, you'll be able to go live with the testing? Is it testing or actually implementation?
We actually tested today.
We're going to do what we call patron lane testing, where we're actually going to go out in the field and
Help them go through it.
And actually, we're going to probably, at our expense, have them go through and then get a feedback at the end if they're willing to do the survey. If not, we'll let them go through. That way we get a sense of what people really think of the machine. And all this hard work was really worth it. So.
There's a motion on the resolution to award a contract to TTI to wrap up the night watch
So moved.
implementation. Is there a second? All in favor?
Aye.
And I believe we have one attorney-client issue to discuss in executive session, and we will not be conducting any business when we return, so the rest of you are free to go. Do we want to adjourn then our regular meeting and then go to? You could adjourn.
Sorry, I didn't-
I'm gonna talk to
So,
the board.
Okay.
motion to adjourn?
Move to adjourn.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.